So as it turns out, if you have ever said, "This job is killing me," you may have actually been right and not a whiny baby. The reason I say that is according to the first global study of its kind, when working 55 hours or more per week compared to 35 to 40 hours per week, it increased the risk of stroke by 35% and death by heart disease by 17%. With the World Health Organization saying that in 2016, which is the most recent year it looked at, 745,000 people died from stroke and heart disease due to long hours. And notably, that is a 29% increase from 2000. With a study which was conducted by the WHO and the ILO, the International Labor Organization, finding that nearly 3/4 of those that died, they were middle-aged to older men, even if it was years and years after their period of overwork. This report also noting that geographically, Southeast Asia and the Western Pacific were among the areas most affected, with the World Health Organization also noting that this trend may actually worsen due to the coronavirus pandemic. Also, if you happen to be one of those people that kind of prides themselves on how much they hustle and they work, in addition to this information, you should also know that there was a study back in 2014 that actually showed that productivity plummets after 64 hours per week. Right, so the return on investment of those hours, they plummet. You're essentially digging your grave. And actually, according to a recent study on frontline nurses, they found that the stress of overworking can also lead to depression, anxiety, and you already know this. This research is just validating what you've been feeling inside. But yeah, with that said, welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show. Hit that like button to support the video. Hit that subscribe button for your chance to win $5,000 at the end of the month. And let's just jump into it. And the first thing that we're going to talk about today is we had John Cena making headlines. And that's because during a press tour for Fast and Furious 9, John Cena gave an interview with the Taiwanese broadcaster TVBS where he said that Taiwan would be the first country to be able to watch the movie. And that quickly became a massive issue for John Cena and the movie because if you're not aware, calling Taiwan a country is a quick way to get canceled in China. The mainland is dead serious there that Taiwan is a part of China and not a separate country. So what we ended up seeing was John Cena, who actually turns out to speak passable conversational Mandarin, apologizing in a video. And what's kind of funny is that this video ended up pissing off people on both sides. Right? In the video, he never actually specifically says what he did wrong, maybe assuming that viewers would already know the underlying context. So because of that omission, you had some leaving comments like, "Please say Taiwan is part of China in Chinese, otherwise we will not accept," though some did find his apology sufficient. But here in the United States, Cena's apology was criticized for different reasons, particularly among conservatives, with people feeling like he was just bowing to pressure because offending the massive Chinese movie market could hurt the popularity of his movie and the bottom line. With people like Ben Shapiro writing, "Taiwan is a country. Hong Kong should be free. If you are unwilling to say these things because it might hurt your bottom line, you are a pathetic coward." And you will rarely hear these words out of my mouth, but I actually agree with Ben here. Fuck the Chinese Communist Party. Taiwan is a country. Hong Kong should be free. And if you're scared to say that because you're gonna lose money, I kind of don't care about you anymore. How's that boot taste, John? I can see you, I just can't see your spine. Does President Xi have it locked up somewhere with your balls? Anyway, enjoy the paycheck, John, moving on. Then, in a more positive entertainer/entertainment news, we should definitely talk about TikTok partnering with Pandora and SiriusXM. And this, actually on several projects that really just further cement the app's status as the emerging staple in the music industry. But among other things, you had SiriusXM announcing they're launching a full-time TikTok radio station, saying that it'll feel like a radio version of the platform's For You page, and that it'll feature a diverse group of TikTok creators showcasing trending music and stories behind the songs throughout each day. Then, starting yesterday, Pandora launched a series of hosted playlists featuring popular TikTok creators, those creators curating playlists and sharing their favorite songs with listeners while giving special exclusive commentary. With them kicking this off with Bella Poarch, who was just absolutely exploded over the last year. Like, she went from some random girl on TikTok who made silly faces to, just 12 days ago, she released her first music video and that already has 100 million views on YouTube. So with this Pandora situation, she just kind of makes sense. Like, she's known for using other people's music for her face stuff, but also now she has her own music career that she's launching. I think a lot of this comes down to what Scott Greenstein, the president and chief content officer of SiriusXM, said in a statement, saying the effect TikTok has on music and pop culture in general is undeniable. It feels like almost all the top lists anyway are trending sounds on TikTok. Also, it largely feels like a lot of the new emerging talent is coming organically from TikTok. And if you're a company like Sirius that is going to have an older average age for your audience compared to, especially that of TikTok, you're gonna wanna figure out a way to get as much of that audience as you can now, but also be a part of their future pipeline. Hell, just look at Olivia Rodrigo. She proved how powerful the platform could be with Driver's License earlier this year. Now, Good For You is debuting at #1. Her album, Sour, also one of the most talked about albums so far this year, which, the whole situation is amazing in its own right, but then meanwhile, here on YouTube, we're scared to hum a song because our whole ass video is gonna get taken down. But yeah, the main thing is this is gonna be an exciting thing to see as we see old school and new school kind of merging and figuring out how to work with one another, because they have to. But from that, let's take a second to pay some bills and thank the fantastic sponsor of today's show, Keeps. 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time that they're 35. And everyone's got that someone in their life, right? That brother, uncle, or friend dealing with hair loss. And if you don't want to go down that road, you don't have to just wait for it to happen to you too. Because Keeps helps you stop hair loss before it's too late with their scientific and affordable approach to treatments that are up to 90% effective at reducing and stopping further hair loss. And Keeps actually offers generic versions of the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products that are out there. So some of you may have actually already tried them before, but probably never at this price. Which, actually fantastically, for a limited time, you beautiful bastards can get 50% off your order. All without having to go to the doctor's office for your prescription, because with Keeps, you can get these products delivered directly to your home. It is that easy. So if you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/DeFranco, or just click that link in the description down below to receive 50% off your first order. Then, we should definitely talk about today being the first anniversary of George Floyd's death. So with this, we're seeing marches and vigils taking place all over the country. Tons of people taking to Twitter to remember George Floyd and commemorate the historic protest movement his death sparked, with many applauding the progress that the country has made, while also emphasizing that there is still so much more to be done. This, including the likes of former President Obama, who wrote, "George Floyd was murdered 1 year ago today. Since then, hundreds of more Americans have died in encounters with police. Parents, sons, daughters, friends, taken from us far too soon. But the last year has also given us reasons to hope. Today, more people in more places are seeing the world more clearly than they did a year ago. It's a tribute to all those who decided that this time would be different and that they, in their own ways, would help make it different. When injustice runs deep, progress takes time. But if we can turn words into action and action into meaningful reform, we will, in the words of James Baldwin, cease fleeing from reality and begin to change it." We also saw many others specifically calling on Congress and President Biden to enact federal policies on police reform. Because while yes, Biden is set to meet with George Floyd's family today, Congress is also set to blow past his deadline for putting a major police reform bill on his desk. Right in his first address before Congress last month, Biden urged congressional leaders to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act by the anniversary of his death, with that bill largely aiming to reform a wide range of police practices, including ending the use of police chokeholds, banning no-knock warrants, and creating a police misconduct registry, among other measures. Now, the House has actually already passed the bill twice, once shortly after Floyd's death in 2020 and again in the new session this March. But both times the legislation is stalled in the Senate, where Republican support is needed. And while there are several sticking points for the GOP here, the biggest obstacle to the bill's passage has been the debate over ending qualified immunity, right? The thing that shields so many officers from lawsuits and civil prosecution. But still, even with that massive hurdle, yesterday you had the White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki telling reporters that Biden is still very hopeful that he'll be able to sign the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act into law, with her adding, "We are very closely engaged with negotiators," while also leaving the Senate room to work. Which, I mean, maybe I'm a cynic, but it just sounds like a lot of words that mean no, nothing's probably gonna happen. Especially because I do believe that a lot of politicians are trying to figure out where their feet should be on this issue. Right? I mean, if you look at a lot of the polling from around the time that all those protests were happening to right now, opinions have drastically changed. Support for the BLM movement's actually down compared to this time last year, and fewer people responded that police violence is a serious problem now compared to right after the death of George Floyd. And of course, that's also in addition to the Republican pushback on a number of issues. Then, if you happen to be wondering why Holocaust was trending this morning and you couldn't bring yourself to click it, I've been there. I'm like, I can't open this door right now. Let me walk you through it. It starts with Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, the definitely not a crazy person, Marjorie Taylor Greene, from the same studio that gave you Jewish Space Lasers presents this new tweet where she said, "Vaccinated employees get a vaccination logo just like the Nazis forced Jewish people to wear a gold star. Vaccine passports and mask mandates create discrimination against unvaxxed people who trust their immune systems to a virus that is 99% survivable." Oh, this asshole. There's just so much to unpack here. Now that, of course, immediately got a ton of backlash, with many condemning Greene. This actually including top Republicans like Mitch McConnell, who called her comments outrageous and reprehensible. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy also criticizing her remarks, saying Marjorie is wrong and her intentional decision to compare the horrors of the Holocaust with wearing masks is appalling, and adding, "Let me be clear, the House Republican Conference condemns this language, ... but we're really not gonna do anything because a lot of people support her. This is in part who we are now." Did you see the new poll where a majority of Republicans think that Donald Trump is the true president right now? I'm joking. Kevin didn't do that. You know what he actually did was he somehow flipped it and made it about Nancy Pelosi ignoring anti-Semitism in the Democratic Party. Where Kevin was like, don't look at our insane troll monster, look at this shiny thing. And as far as Greene's response to this whole reaction, she actually ended up doubling down, retweeting an article about vaccine requirements at the University of Virginia and literally repeating the same comparison. It appears Nazi practices have already begun on our youth. Show your vax papers or no in-person class for you. This is exactly what I was saying about the gold star. With Greene also going on the offensive, quote tweeting prominent Jewish people who condemned her, calling at least one person a liar. Also responding to a tweet from Ben Shapiro where he was criticizing her. With her writing, I never compared it to the Holocaust, only the discrimination against Jews in early Nazi years. Which one, is a piss poor attempt at differentiating what you're saying, and two, what are you talking about? Literally just 4 days ago while on camera, you were talking about Nancy Pelosi and her requiring unvaccinated members of Congress to wear masks, and you said,
this woman is mentally ill. You know, we can look back in a time in history where people were told to wear a gold star and they were definitely treated like second-class citizens, so much so that they were put in trains and taken to gas chambers in Nazi Germany. And this is exactly the type of abuse that Nancy Pelosi is talking about.
So Marjorie, what is it? Are you a liar? Are you crazy? Are you stupid? Are you aware of what the Holocaust was? Also, of note, because some people have said she has apologized since this, she didn't apologize or take any accountability. She put out a long, super rambling thread where she reiterated the claim that attempts to shame people who refuse to follow COVID rules are reminiscent of the great tyrants of history who did the same to those who would not comply. And then concluded, I'm sorry, some of my words made people uncomfortable. Oh my God, you're a garbage person. And here's the thing, none of that is surprising from Greene because there are going to be no consequences for her. The people who elected her know who she is and what she stands for. McCarthy, it's not like he was blindsided by Greene. He's known who she is, what she's done, what she does, and he's protected her while at the same time ousting Liz Cheney because she decided to accept reality. It's just absolutely bananas. You know, I talk about this constantly and today, not for the liberals or the independents out there that are just gonna go, oh man, yeah, that lady's crazy. But rather, and I have no expectation of success here, but if you are part of the 47% of Republicans that see that Joe Biden is the current president, understand that your party has been successfully hijacked. Your party has been taken over by genuinely insane people like Greene, cowards who are scared because there are a lot of people that support genuinely insane people like Greene, and ambitious grifters. And truly, what I believe is at stake is the future of this democracy, the future of this republic. 2020 was just one election. It bought time. But yeah, ultimately, on that happy note, whether it be this story or anything that stood out to you today, I'd love to know your thoughts in those comments down below because this is the end of today's show. As always, thank you for being a part of the family, watching the video, like and subscribe and all the good stuff. If you're looking for more to watch, I get covered right here in the top links down below. But before I wear out my welcome, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces and I'll see you tomorrow.